The information shared on the Fulfilled Practitioner podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. While we explore topics in natural health, practitioner fulfillment and mindset, business growth, and practice strategies, nothing discussed on this podcast should be interpreted as medical advice or a substitute for a professional diagnosis, treatment of any kind, or individualized guidance. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your health, diet, or lifestyle, and consult with a qualified business professional before making any changes to your clinical practice or business. The views and opinions expressed by the host and any guests are their own and do not reflect the views of any affiliated organizations. The Fulfilled Practitioner podcast is not responsible for any actions taken based on the content presented. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are fully responsible for your own decisions, actions, and outcomes. Hello, and welcome to the Fulfilled Practitioner podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Brar. This is a place where natural health practitioners learn how to grow, simplify, and fall back in love with their practice again. Here we talk fulfillment, practice growth, leverage in technology, AI, and the mindset needed to build an impactful and meaningful practice. If you're ready to evolve as a practitioner and create a life that feels aligned and energizing, let's get started. Welcome back to the Fulfilled Practitioner podcast. Today, we're doing our very special Meet Your Health Superhero segment. And this segment is all about spotlighting practitioners who are not just creating an impact, but they're doing it with fulfillment, purpose, and authenticity. I've met some of the most brilliant practitioners, and I don't want to keep them best kept secrets much longer. And today is a perfect example. One of my favorite people, Krista, is joining us. Hey, Krista, how's everything going?
Hi, Ricky. Good. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do this interview. And I know you've been someone doing a lot of special work and impacting a lot of lives. So I definitely want to make sure that people learn about who you are and what type of impact you make. So I'd love for you to start by giving us a background, who you are, what you do, and what your area of expertise is.
I'm an integrative health practitioner first, I guess is what I would call myself. Although I also have the titles of quantum nutrition practitioner, emotion code practitioner, and also an integrative nutrition coach. So those are kind of my certifications. I also have the certification of being a public school educator as well. So I did do a lot of teaching in my past years. I run my own small business called Rewrite Your Story Health and Wellness.
Amazing, and your title is one of my favorite like names for a practice or a program. Rewrite your own story. That's just like so powerful, and I know it's your last name, so it's like the perfect play as well. But I learned so much by doing these interviews. So even though I've known you for some time, I didn't know about the public educator background. So how does one go from public educator and then transitioning into like so many different certifications and ways to help people?
Yeah, so my story with becoming Rewrite Your Story actually started during COVID. All the teachers got sent home, and we had a lot of time on our hands during that time. And because of my own health struggles, I've always been researching and finding holistic practitioners. So I was kind of bored listening to a lot of podcasts. And one of my friends said, "You know what? I think it's time for you to go to school because you love to learn about this. You love to help other people." And she said to me, "You need to do this." And that's where I started. I started going to school during COVID, and I really hardly have stopped. So I
Wow.
retired. I did my practice part time in the evenings while I taught once I got it started, and then now I do it full time.
And that's such a powerful story for the listeners because so many people use that period in time like the whole world changed after that and then they changed themselves, and I know that's a pretty big pivot, and I know you've helped a lot of people. So you mentioned something there that stood out to me, which is a personal story. Was there a personal story that inspired you to go into this world?
Just my own health struggles. I basically started many years ago. My own health struggle started July 13th, 1999, when I lost my son to a stillborn accident. Um, later on discovered it was all due to thyroid disease. And then thyroid disease kind of ruled my life for quite some time. And then also Lyme disease. So I had found out later on that I had that. Just didn't get much help from doctors other than them telling me I was a stressed out mom, and that just didn't fly. So I just kept searching and doing my own research and being my own health advocate, and that's where I have gotten into rewriting other people's stories as well. So
Oh
I
no.
rewrote my own and I'm helping others.
Wow, I'm so sorry to hear. And again, I learned so much from interviewing practitioners, and you're someone who's turned like a very traumatic moment into something that's helping so many people. And like what I always appreciate and love about practitioners is almost all of us. It's pretty wild when you start picking people's brains and you start finding this out. There was a personal journey. We lived it. We were living proof
Mhm.
of poor health, of things that were
Right.
stopping us from living that life we dreamed about. And a lot of times we couldn't get the answers we were looking for through the conventional channels. So that's so powerful. And now the name makes so much more sense to me as
Yeah.
well. So that is so powerful. So I would love to hear about the people that you help them rewrite their own story. Who do you love working with? Like who's the perfect person for you?
So, in all honesty, since, with my work as a teacher, my favorite client, I guess, is a mom that was like me, that, lives that super mom life, that's stressed out, that really needs help and hasn't found any help. So they're my favorite clients. And then usually moms bring in their children. And in this day and age, our kids really need help with their diet, with the amount of screen time they're on, the toxicity load. So I just love helping the moms and then helping those children too. So that's my favorite client. Now, I'm not telling you I don't work with men, but that's my favorite.
Oh, absolutely. I know you can help pretty much anyone, but that's
Yes.
so beautiful because when you do help a mom out, like that's often the center focus of the family. Like that's the glue that keeps everything together, and everyone benefits when you help that person. And yeah, and then you get to work with the kids and the habits that the mom learns that the kids pick up on, and it's just
Yes.
a beautiful thing. And like the best part I found about working with younger individuals is just how quick they respond to change because they're still very malleable and their brain is still very plastic, so things can move pretty quickly for them as well. So I know
Yeah.
today you're on the Fulfilled Practitioner podcast, so it wouldn't be right of me if I didn't ask you this very tough question. And what does being a fulfilled practitioner mean to you?
I think for me, and I think that I really worked on this in my life. Um, a lot has changed in the last few years on just my belief system and confidence and everything. So being fulfilled for me is just being aligned with my purpose, and realizing, I guess, every day that I wake up, my goal is to help and serve other people and just being aligned with those people that need me.
I look for that word often, alignment, and I think it's
Mhm.
one of the most powerful words. And the definition varies until you experience it, right? And when
Yes.
you're in alignment, that's when things go a lot smoother and a lot easier. And it's easy to help co-create results, or I shouldn't say easy, but it's a lot more aligned. It's just more in your wheelhouse and what you focus on. So that's a beautiful definition of what fulfillment means. And I know going from a public educator to now, is there like a shift or is there something specific that changed in the way you see success?
Yeah, I would definitely, you know, I've done a lot of work on myself as well, so within that, I feel I can help my clients more too. But it is more about that alignment and realizing your thoughts matter, your beliefs matter, and just changing those thoughts and making sure you're attracting the good energy, I guess is the way I want to say it. And that's just been a big shift in success because when you don't have those limiting beliefs, your everything in your life is so much more successful and more energetically better.
Absolutely, and to explore those self-limiting beliefs, it's often
Hmm.
through trial by fire, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of personal growth, and oftentimes it takes pain to grow further as well. So,
Yes.
is there a lesson that stands out to you since you shifted into this world and you've been practicing this way?
I would just say, to learn anything that life throws at you is to learn from it. Instead of thinking that it was a burden or a struggle, but to say, okay, what was the lesson in there? Why did that, why did I have to go through that? And to learn from it and to grow from it.
And I love that because you can then pass that on to the people that you work with as well. Because
Mhm.
I find like when I was on my own personal health journey and the people I've worked with, it's often hard to find meaning in what we're experiencing in that moment. And I know it sounds very cliche to say, oh, I'm going through this for some sort of purpose or lesson I'm supposed to learn. And sometimes people have a very difficult time making that like distinction. So I would say that's one of the most powerful lessons you can learn. So it looks like you have like 50 years of experience since you started practicing already.
Yes, and I guess I choose gratitude. That's another big thing every day. I don't start my day without gratitude, and just making a complete list of everything so that I start that way. And that sounds so simple, and I don't know, when I tell people that, they look at me like, well, how's that going to change, But it really does. It starts your day the right way, with the right feeling, the right energy, and that's been a huge shift as well. So,
Yeah, they call them states for a reason, right? And when you
mhm,
enter that state and you truly embrace that state, it's just a whole different experience. Your
mhm.
perception of your day changes, and little things that might get under your skin don't seem to get under your skin as much anymore. So it's one of the most powerful tools that I would say 99.9% of people are not using, right? Like we can
Exactly.
all approach life from that lens. So that's
And it's so
beautiful.
simple to start, you don't have to buy anything. You don't, you just, you get up and you do it. So,
Yeah, often like a lot of the lifestyle stuff, a lot of it is just you need the knowledge and how to apply it. But some of these things are quote unquote experiential, right? You need to
mhm,
experience them to really get it. So the people that are listening and they know what we're talking about, they know what we're talking about. But then to some people, it might be like, oh, that doesn't look like it's going to make a big difference. Give me that new cutting edge supplement or something like that. So no, absolutely. And like, I love
mhm.
that you're bringing all of this up because one thing you mentioned at the start of the call was just in terms of the certifications you have and all of the education you've been through, and you continue to just be a sponge and you've been such an amazing student overall. And I see that growth every single day. Like, how has your approach to practice evolved over the years? How are you blending all of these things together?
I'm a lifelong student. And, I absolutely love to learn. So I I bet you every single day I'm either reading something or researching something. When I have a client with something, I don't just, I take a lot of time on them. So I guess that's, how I really work on constant learning. That's just a big part of my life. So when I first started, of course, I was going to school, getting the certifications, but I just keep continuing and not necessarily getting another certification, but I just keep continuing the learning from other doctors, whatever research is out there. I just constantly am soaking it up.
That's amazing. And you sound like you remind me of myself because I've been in that same like wavelength for a while where I'm like I kind of take it to some extremes at times too, where it's just like so much learning, right? And you need to
Right.
eventually apply it as well. But is there a secret to you keeping up with all of this education and all of this learning? I talk to a lot of practitioners who that is actually a big point of overwhelm for practitioners is all of the continuing education they have to keep up with. And it's not just singular focus. Like when we go to school, we know that, okay, this is science class, or it even divides from there. This is biology, this is physics, this is statistics, this is calculus. But I find when we're talking about practitioners, we have to sometimes switch gears completely because you might be learning something clinical, then you go to learn something from a marketing standpoint, then you go to learn something, especially in today's day and age, from a technology standpoint and all
Mhm.
of that. Like, is there a secret that you found to avoid the overwhelm and the burnout from all of the education?
I think that yes, my brain gets overwhelmed because I do put a lot too much into it a lot of the time. But I think I just, make sure that I do also self-care because if I allow that to overwhelm, then I'm not walking the talk that I'm telling my clients, right? I'm getting myself stressed out. So I just make sure that I do some self-care for that, for the stress or the overwhelm, and get some clarity on what's the most important. And I guess I do that. I do a lot of walking, a lot of hiking. I'm in nature a lot, and that's where all my ideas and clarity comes from. So I make sure that's, just in my day always.
And it sounds so simple, but I'm sure that is, in some ways, it's the most difficult thing for people to do as well. A mentor of mine, he introduced me to the term white space. So you basically need that white space where, like, all of these things that we're bombarded with throughout the day, that just stops a little bit, that the noise kind of quiets down, and then you get the ideas and the creativity. And one of my favorite concepts, a psychological concept, is the flow state. So I find that a lot of us practitioners, we struggle to find these moments of flow where things are just, our brains firing on hyperdrive, things are just moving smoothly, the ideas are coming to us, the energy's there. So I know you touched on a few of those things in terms of the habits that are there for you. Are there any, is there a specific kind of morning flow you follow, or is there like a routine day to day you follow to stay grounded and clear?
Yeah, my routine always is gratitude first. When I get up, I usually write it all down. I choose that. I think it just flows better when you see it in writing and you feel it, you believe it. And then I go for a walk out in nature. I'm a big trail person, so I love that. And then I start my day in my office. So I just feel like my head is ready, I have clarity. Um, I also like to do the night before, just kind of make my list of things I do need to get done or people I need to contact, just so I have that organization and I start in the morning after my walk ready to go. So I just try to keep my brain more clear that way.
So you take care of yourself before taking care of
Yes.
anyone else. So that's it's such a, again, simple distinction, but simple is complex because sometimes people find it really difficult to do that. A lot of the practitioners I've had discussions with, when they were not in a good state, it was often just wake up and go, right? There was like
Yes.
no priming. There's nothing that they were focusing on. So it's very, very powerful. A little bit of a question to put you on the spot, because again, a lot of practitioners listen, but one of the other big, I don't want to call it a pain point, but it's just reality. Something practitioners suffer from a lot is there is an energy exchange when you're working with people with health issues. And a lot of times they're coming in needing help, and they're usually in a more of a, I don't want to call it a negative state, but more of a state where they're like just in not a good place, that happiness is not there, gratitude's often not there. Is there anything you do to kind of protect yourself from that energy?
That is a tough one because I am a very empathetic person, so I tend to absorb energies from people. So I do have to really protect myself. I do a lot of prayer and meditation, to help to release, and basically to protect me from that. Grounding, like trees and nature always help me with that. So when I'm out in nature, that's just kind of my prayer session out there as well. Um, and I do find I find that a lot of my clients tend to use me also as a counselor sometimes because of that, which is fine. I know they need somebody to listen to. So I think I just try to talk to them positively and redirect them on more positive energy when they start to go down the negative zone. And usually by the end of the conversation, they're usually saying, "Well, I just feel so much better when I talk to you." So I feel like I'm trying to just push that energy onto them in a positive way so I don't take their negative, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's huge. I know a lot of the practitioners listening, especially if they're newer practitioners, that's a point that they don't recognize. And
Mhm.
you need to recognize that because, like, and this might sound woo-woo to some, but I feel like we're energetic beings, so we need to
Hmm.
make sure that we maintain our energy, and oftentimes you have to protect your energy to do that as well. And so if you're working with Krista, what's going to happen is you're going to get this primed version that has taken care of herself beforehand. So then
Right.
those visits and consultations are going to be really mind-blowing and expanding with everything that you've touched on here, like getting into kind of the way that you practice. Like, how do you find yourself kind of blending science, intuition, connection into your work right now?
So, like with science and everything, like I told you, I'm always learning, always researching what's going on. But with my practice, I'm a quantum nutrition practitioner as well. So what that means is there's the science of quantum physics obviously comes into that. I do muscle testing, but I'm able to do that through frequency, so I can do it remotely. So that's also kind of, woo woo to people, but as you just said, we're all energetically connected. That's the heart of my practice anymore because it's just a main way I can do root cause. And then I also have like a biofeedback system I use too. And then just learning the training and science of how that works has been incredible too. So I kind of bring that in. And connection, I would say I'm very connected to my clients. In all honesty, when I'm out in those woods, I'm praying for my clients every day, praying for success, and just connection that they're healing on their health journey. So, does that answer the question a little bit?
No, absolutely. Beautifully answered. And it shows all of the things you're doing and the ways you're thinking about helping people in the background. And that's just the thing I find a lot of the times when we're working on our health, it could have a very singular definition. So some people who are working on their health, they're only really avoiding bad foods or processed foods, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of a very singular thing. But when you can help people with multiple modalities at the same time, multiple methods at the same time, I find each of those carries a different probability of success. So I love that you're building it all together, but then it's connected by what you're doing and the intuition that you're bringing into it
Yes.
as well. Now, one of my big things, and I find especially in this new world, that people are more disconnected than they've ever been before.
Mhm.
And as someone like yourself and myself who have been through personal health journeys, it is the most lonely road. Often,
Yes.
there's a lot of darkness there as well. Are you doing anything to build community into your practice?
Well, I'm just getting a gut course, like a group online gut course started. So that once, I launch my kind of the registration for that and everything and get more people signed up, that'll be a huge deal because it'll have the group community connection with that. It'll have an online Q&A so I'm hoping that the people that sign up can connect with each other and mainly talk about what's going on with them, but maybe they can connect in other ways as well. So that's one way I'm doing group connection or things like that. But I also love to be out in the community and I absolutely love presenting. That's the teacher in me. So I have been doing a lot of presentations on like health barriers that affect our health. I do one on children's health. I've been doing it on gut health, nervous system. So I absolutely love going out and presenting and educating people and opening their eyes to things they could do to change their health. So,
Wow. Well, once an educator, always an educator.
yep, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're the perfect person for that. So I'm so glad that you're doing that. And also with the gut side of things, I know the gut is this foundational like source of health, but also source of poor health for a lot of people. And when people are going through anything gut-based, I'll be the first to tell you, you don't think anyone else is. Like you think you're alone. So the fact that
Yes.
you're going to have a place where people can come and connect with people who are on a similar health journey as them, it really helps because people learn that it's not just them, they're not in it alone. And number two, if one of them gets a good result, that's proof to you that it's
Mhm.
possibility, right? So I find that one of the things that gets beaten out of people, and I'm again just maybe living out I'm speaking from an old trauma in a way, is when I was going through my health issues, is like you lose hope, right? Like so
Yes.
So that hope is so powerful, and that's the only thing that can kind of keep us going. So I really love that you're creating a system to build hope in individuals and keep them connected as well. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I know, like with that, if you just think about it, if you had said this 20 years ago that you wanted to create a program where people are connected to each other, it would be near impossible. That the
Mhm.
technology wasn't there. All of these people would have to meet in person only. So now we have technology to do all that for us. Do you see any trends right now? Are you following any trends closely in the healthcare space or the technology space that you're trying to learn and keep up with?
Well, I would say AI, that's a big one. But AI is extremely helpful in a lot of ways. So that I'm learning more about that. A lot of, like with this group course, it was a lot for me to learn technology and to design all the modules and get them all set up in a portal that clients can access. So um technology for me, since I have the school experience of a teacher, it was kind of like, here you go, sink or swim, figure it out. We got a little bit of help, but we were just always given things. And that's kind of where I still am at. I just kind of try to dive in and figure it out and ask for help or ask Google to help me to figure things out. So I think that's where it's going. And I just think that like a group course or, online things like that is what, the busy people want. They don't have to go anywhere. They can do all that from the comfort of their home and work on their health that way. Um, and I really think that's where we're headed because there's so much health issues right now. Um, Gut is huge, gut issues are huge, but also the nervous system is huge. So I really think that this is where people need to be at.
I love that, and like you're right on the same wavelength as me because I find that's the big thing with practitioners, even yourself. If we go back a few years here, like, the amount of technology you know today and how to leverage that technology and how to create things, like all of that, the old version of you probably didn't think you would ever need, right? Because at that time, a lot of the visits were simply one-on-one, and a lot of them were in person. And especially if you're doing things like Reiki, a lot of that I know is in person also. So that's the main focus. But I feel so many practitioners are being left behind today because they don't realize this trend is it's moving very, very quickly. And people are valuing things that they can do in the comfort of their own home, things that they don't have to travel 45 minutes in traffic to an office and then wait
Right.
for you to see them for. So the fact that you're setting yourself up for success that way and helping people connect that way, it's so huge. So I love that you're keeping up with it. It's so important. And for any of the listeners who are not keeping up with it, the landscape has changed. That the
Mhm.
shift is here. So it's not even something that's minor right now in the background. Like the way that we operate has forever changed, and I think it's going to change at a very rapid pace coming up. So I'm so glad that those systems are in place for you, and I know you're going to impact so many people going forward with that as well. Kind of an interesting one because as I've learned more about you today, I always like to ask this question: is if we could go back and you could speak with your younger self, is there a piece of advice that really has stood out to you that you wish you could just like shake them and yell at them?
I think kind of what I, talked about earlier is that I think about this all the time. I as a, since I was a teacher, but I always think, gosh, a lot of this should be taught in schools because learning to trust my own intuition and learning how to not to get rid of those, release those limiting beliefs, and believe in more beliefs that are empowering has completely changed my life. Um, so in schools we used to teach a mindset piece, but it wasn't this powerful. When I've been on my own discovery in the last few years, it's powerful and it has changed my life. So I wish I would have known this a long time ago. Trust your journey and learn from it. I guess is what I would like to tell my younger self. And I'm kind of glad I'm not the younger self anymore because I've learned so much.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's bittersweet in a way, right? We reflect back and we're like, oh man, that like that version of me, they took things the wrong way. They didn't think
Yeah.
this way. So you definitely want to pass that down. And I think that's a powerful lesson to pass down as well, because like to get to that point where you actually recognize what intuition is and it actually coming up and you seeing evidence of it at play, it just
Hmm.
changes the way you think forever. So that's very
Yes,
powerful, but it's so difficult to instill in younger individuals. So the earlier you
right.
start, the better. I know just getting to know you today, I've got to kind of see, okay, the educator background and then
Hmm.
the personal health journey that shaped the trajectory of your entire life. Like if I were to have run into you as a teenager, let's say, like what type of person were you at that time?
Oh gosh, as a teenager, I was involved in everything, in high school. So I was a musical person, in band, social kind of person, but I also was the person that probably where I get my nature, my height, all that. I needed to be out, and I was always with one of my dogs. Loved animals, So, and then I was also always a very, very artistic person. I used to teach. Honestly, that's another part of my life. I used to teach private art classes for kids out of
Oh
my
my goodness.
garage, just because that I absolutely love seeing people, the joy in people getting creative and doing things too. So that was me. I was always doing something creative.
Wow. The fulfilled practitioner picture is like now like the art pieces are coming together for me and I can kind of see all those moments in time, right? And like I think this is a powerful exercise for anybody that's listening to also go through is like look at those past versions of yourself. Like go back all the way to your childhood, go back to those teenage years and just think about what did I like at that time? Like what kind of person was I? And it's so funny because now that I've had the blessing of interviewing many practitioners, one thing I'm learning is that some of the common themes are that these people were they were still very strong learners. They wanted to kind of know everything. They had a beautiful creativity and curiosity about them as well. They were able to put things together. And then on the other side, I do get my rebels as well that like rebelled against the system and just were
I
people
probably
who
had a
looked like
little
they
bit
fit.
of that
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure. I'm sure. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So thank you so much for today. I hope
Yeah.
the listeners get a better idea of the amazing and beautiful person you are and how passionate you are about helping people as well. I'd love to ask you, what's next for you? What's kind of lighting you up right now?
So what's next is to get my online gut course really out there and launched so people are aware of it. And then I honestly keep getting messages, and that sounds kind of funny, but I have written a book, one book with a friend of mine, but I have this idea for a second book. So that's definitely somewhere out there in the future that will happen as I find the time to do that. But yeah, just enjoying my clients and continuing what I do. So, and I would absolutely love to present more. I absolutely love educating people and seeing the light bulb go on. Like, wow, I didn't realize, all this toxicity is out there, or these things could affect my health, or things like that. So that's what I'm hoping for is more opportunities for that as well.
Wow. I know that the rest of this year and going into next year is going to be absolutely huge for you, and those
Yeah.
things are going to come to fruition. I'm sure of it. And you're somebody who's very passionate, very persistent, consistent, and you have a very strong work ethic. So I have no doubt about that. If people want to learn more about you, where can they go to do that?
Yeah, so I have a website and it's kristastory.com. So KRISTASTORY.com.
Amazing. I'll put that in the show notes for everyone as
Yeah.
well. And be on the lookout for Krista's second book as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for today. And this has been super fun. And I love to learn more about practitioners. So you've really blessed me today with a lot of amazing details. And I've learned a lot from you as well. So thank you, Krista.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I really
Uh,
appreciate it.
oh, absolutely. Well, have a great rest of your day. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.